Hey everyone, and welcome to my review on the Ride BMX Headlights full-length video that just came out this past week. So normally with these BMX news videos, I talk about everything that happened in the previous week within the world of BMX that I think you guys might care about. But this week is a little different because all I'm going to be talking about is the Ride BMX Headlights full-length video, which is available on iTunes and a few other places for $9.99. So if you guys want to check it out, I'll provide a link in the description for you to check it out and buy if you want to. Before we get into talking about different sections and all of the other stuff involving this video, I want to start out by saying that I had no idea how much actually needed to go into a review on an entire full-length video. Probably because I haven't really watched that many full-length videos before. First of all, the filming of every single section in this video is fantastic. We all know Mike Mastroni is great at what he does, and we wouldn't expect anything less, so it applies to every single section. I wanted to say it before we actually got into anything. Also, the editing and song choices are very well done, and the song choices are great. For all of the people in this video, they seem to go well with all of the riders and their riding. It's kind of something that is a theme throughout the video, that it all goes well together. I felt like I needed to say that so you guys could keep it in mind while I'm talking about every single section, because it applies to everything, and I don't really want to say that 10 or however many different times for every section of this video. So with that being said, let's move into talking about the sections of the Ride BMX Headlights video. Here's a quick list of everyone that's in the video straight from iTunes and not in the order that they appear in the video. Some of them are in the right place, but some of them aren't. We've got Johnny Rakes, Sean Elf Walters, Tate Ruskelly, Mike Mastroni, Brady Tweedy, Justin Sprite, Ryan Biz Jordan, Zach Kramus, Jake Seeley, Brock Rayford, Calvin Kosovich, and DeMarcus Paul. So a few of those were in the right place, but a few of them weren't. The first person in the opening section of this video is Johnny Rakes. And with this section, there are crank flips, bar spins, and a million different combinations of the two and grinds that I'd bet 99% of the riders out there, other than maybe Garrett Reynolds, can't do. I think my favorite clip of this section is the roller coaster up rail grind to no-footed can double crank flip, because as someone who does no-footed can double crank flips, it's really hard to find places to do that trick that aren't just like a jump. Definitely know how hard that one is, and it's completely crazy that he did it out of a roller coaster up rail grind. And another thing to mention about this one is that the creativity of the filming of this section is off the charts. There's a couple different water reflection shots that could have legitimately taken the place of the actual shot of a trick, and I don't think anyone would have noticed at all or said anything about it for that matter, because of how well done they were. I think the reason that I don't have a ton to say about this section is that I personally can't comprehend half of the stuff that he's doing in this video, whether it's rail over rail over rail, over bar spin to rail 180 Smith 180 crank flip, just insane stuff. And I have a hard enough time telling what's regular and switch and all of that stuff on its own. When you have a video like this one where it's so much insanity packed so tightly together, I just kind of sit back and watch the insanity, which you will definitely do when you watch this section. Next up, we've got a section from Sean Elf Walters, and I want to start out here by saying that they say BMX riders look at the world a lot differently than most other people do. I want to add to that by saying that there are some BMX riders that look at the world a lot differently than most other BMX riders too, and Sean is definitely one of those people. This section from him literally blew my mind with all of the fence bouncing and just insane spot usage in this video. It just blew my mind. Sean is one of the people who are at the top of the spot usage game right now, and he's doing it in a way that most other people, if not everyone else, just isn't doing. He takes spot usage to a whole nother level in this section with things like using one of his fence bounces to make a rail possible that most people would probably not even look twice at. So yeah, this creative spot usage section from Sean, following Johnny Rakes' just absolute insanity section, completely blew my mind, and it's definitely one of my favorites from the video. And after that, we've got a section from Ryan Biz Jordan, someone who might have more video parts in full-length videos than anyone else in BMX right now. His section is pretty much what you'd think it would be, but with a little bit of spice thrown in there. There's a ton of big and burly stuff in here, combined with some very technical stuff, like one clip that is like a playground, but it's surrounded by this concrete barrier that is basically a pump track, and he comes flying around this thing, pumping every single roller in it. It's literally a perfect pump track, and then he uses it and jumps one of these rollers that goes over a sidewalk, so there's a break in this barrier, lands in the roller, and then goes over the next one and goes into a manual and manuals out of the barrier pump track thing. And it was just a spot usage thing like that. It's super technical and burly at the same time, that kind of represents this part very well. There's also some super burly and crazy kinked handrails and curved rails and an S rail in here. Just a lot of amazing riding from Biz in this one. And that brings me to Jake Seeley's section in this video. Jake is another one of those riders who's at the top of the spot usage game, and it seemed like every single trick in this video, or every single clip in the video, is just spot usage is way up here, along with the difficulty of the tricks. We all know how technical and insane Jake is. When you combine that with the spot usage of things that a lot of people probably wouldn't be able to make a trick out of, you have an amazing section, even being around 3 minutes long. This one was so crazy that I feel like it's another one that I'd have to watch a few more times just to understand everything that happened in it. Next is Calvin Kosovich's section. This is another one that's around 3 minutes long, but it's seriously chocked full of burly riding. There's only 1 or 2 clips in this entire section that aren't something completely insane and burly. Calvin is one of those riders that's just known to go big, and this section is no exception to that. And I felt like this one is one that went exceptionally well with his personality, or at least what I could gather of his personality from the Feeble Talk that he did, as well as other videos in the past. And this was another one that was just around 3 minutes, so there's not a ton to say here other than it's burly, insane, and definitely a great section in the video. Then after that, we've got Zach Kramus's section, and this is one that if you watch this section and you don't notice Zach's eye for spots that appear to be impossible or very, very difficult to ride, you probably weren't paying attention, because the entire beginning of this section is nothing but spots that look like they're like almost spots, where if you went to it, you'd either ride right past it or look at it and be like, oh man, this would be awesome if, it's full of spots that are like that. And if you combine that with the fact that Zach not only rides these spots that most people would just ride right past, but also the fact that he's doing it extremely smoothly, you have the makings for a very unique video part, and that is becoming a theme of this video. A standout clip for me is the one where he does a tree tap to fakie on this sidewalk setup that's like a raised up sidewalk. He is legitimately further back than vertical whenever he does this tree tap, and it's just so awesome. So taking a quick break from talking about specific sections of the video to talk about it as a whole, so far there has been a great mix of riders and video sections. Every single one of them has stood out in their own way and been unique, and I haven't found myself distracted or bored whatsoever in watching this video yet, up until this point, which is something that's hard to say about full-length videos for me, and is probably why I haven't really seen that many of them before. So let's move into talking about the next section in the video. This one comes from Brock Rayford. Brock's section brought a change of pace that I honestly didn't know that I wanted at this point in the video, but as soon as the fast-paced, burly style of his riding kicked in, my brain was kind of like, hell yes. It might have been the shortest section of the video yet, but it's more than made up for in the insanity of the riding. We've seen the photo of the rail ride, bar spin to wall ride, and after seeing the clip, I honestly don't think that he could have done it any better. This is definitely a standout section of the video, even though it's a short one. And then after that, we've got a split part from Brady Tweedy and Justin Spreet. From Brock's fast-paced and burly section, we go straight into a split part with two tech animals. Brady holds it down with super technical combos using all of his pegs, and then Justin comes in swinging with some super burly tech moves of his own. One of Justin's clips that really stood out to me was the super fast nose manual toothpick grind to nose manual. There was a bunch of people around whenever they filmed this one that probably had no idea how fine the line is between success and death on that clip. Justin's last clip in here is another death-defying one where one wrong move could have literally sent him 6 feet deep into a stairwell. After that came what I could only guess was a friend section because there was a bunch of different people in the video, but I was a little confused because I didn't know if Brady and Justin's section was over yet. So a little bit of confusion there. And there really wasn't any mention of a friends section in the description on iTunes, but as soon as I saw a clip of Jeff Z followed by a bunch of B-roll of a sign or something that said friends, it was clear that it was a friends section. There were a ton of familiar faces in this one and a few unfamiliar faces in here, and at the risk of making a list that is completely wrong with the wrong people, I'll just let it be a surprise for any of you guys who watch the video, because this friends section goes off. And then after that, we've got a section from the video creator himself, Mike Mastroni, and I really love the way that it was immediately obvious that it was Mike's section by the juxtaposition between the way that the camera is held in the hand and then the riding video from both a POV, same angle, and just cutting back and forth between them. When it comes to the riding, it's really hard to tell the difference between spots that Mike created or modified himself and spots that were pre-existing, but it's all freestyle, so it really doesn't matter. And when you ride the way that Mike does, the spots that you might need to do the tricks that you're dreaming of or envisioning in your head might not exist at all, or if they do, they probably exist on the other side of the world in a place that no BMX rider has ever seen them. So sometimes you just got to do what Mike does and create your own spots or modify existing ones to make your dream tricks come true. And this section was definitely the most entertaining section of the video up until this point, at least in my eyes. And the clip where he just plows through the orange sign is probably my favorite clip as well up until this point in the video. And that brings us to Tate Roskelley's section. There's not a more fitting person out there to follow Mike's section than Tate Roskelley, and I know that I just said my favorite clip came from Mike's section, but as soon as I saw the clip where Tate threw the tennis ball and it ended up in his wheel, instantly that was my favorite clip of the video. And after watching the whole thing, still my favorite clip of the entire video. There were so many clips in this video that literally left me laughing out loud with my jaw dropped at just how ridiculous and insane they were. These two sections from Mike and Tate both were the most memorable sections of this video, and it just goes to show that riding and thinking outside of the box stands out so much more than just following the status quo. Tate and Mike, you guys rule. And that brings us into DeMarcus Paul's section. Before I get into anything to do with the riding of this video whatsoever, I just want to say how admirable it is for someone to start their section with B-roll, including their entire family. I think that's super awesome, and it honestly makes me that much more of a fan of DeMarcus Paul. And that's probably part of why they chose DeMarcus in this section to close out the entire video. It is chock full of banger after banger after banger, and at the end of the video, at the last minute or so, it was just crazy trick after crazy trick after crazy trick, to the point where you're just like, can this get crazier? And then it does. And then you wonder again, and then it keeps going because you know that it's not over yet, and it just keeps getting crazier and crazier. The pegs up a rail to gap over a full-sized fence in the last clip were completely out of this world, and this video is definitely a well-deserved closing section of this video. And so that brings us to the credits and talking about this video as a whole. The credits section is basically Johnny Rake's part 2 featuring others from the video, followed by a ton of different B-roll and celebration footage. As far as the video as a whole goes, I'm not really sure how it could have been better, to be completely honest. The only thing that I think I could nitpick even slightly about is the small lack of B-roll that kind of lends itself to the personality of the riders. But at the same time, I would also argue that the riding somewhat does that itself throughout the video. So basically, it's just a nitpick. And other than that, I mean, the filming was fantastic, like I said, and throughout the entire video, there was not one single shot that felt out of place or poorly filmed at all. And also, like I said earlier, the editing was very well done, and there wasn't a single place in the video where I had to think about or focus on watching the video. And it was genuinely pleasant to watch, which is something that I think is exactly what you want in a video like this one. When it comes to video production or the video production world, they say that sometimes sound can be just as important, if not more important, than the visuals in conveying a message. And while I would argue that that is absolutely not the case for a BMX video, where the visuals are 100% of what you're trying to see and kind of the whole point, I would also say that bad audio and bad sound and bad music is the easiest and quickest way to completely ruin an otherwise great video. Headlights has great sound design that always lent to the visuals rather than distracting from them, and always helped tell the story of the riding. And that's kind of what I want to leave this review on, is that the Ride BMX Headlights video is 100% full of things that complement each other, and everything complements something else, and there's nothing in this video that feels out of place whatsoever, which leads me to think that there are going to be a lot of people that call this the best full-length video of 2018. Every single rider is unique in their own way and brings something completely different to the table, and at the same time, none of these riders really outshine or take away from any of the other riders in the video. The riding is so different throughout the entire video and organized in a way that it keeps your attention very well. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is that everyone involved has done a fantastic job on this video that I thoroughly enjoyed from the very beginning to the very end. Well done. And that's going to wrap up my video review on the Ride BMX Headlights full-length BMX video. I have left a link in the description, like I said, to where you can pick up this video for $9.99. If you guys enjoyed this review, or you watched the video and you want to have any conversations about any of the sections in this video, any of the crazy tricks, or whatever you might want to talk about, do it in the comments down below. If you guys are new here, hit the subscribe button down below. And if you did enjoy the video, do me a favor and share it with a friend, because that does nothing but allow me to keep making videos just like this one for you guys. Also, let me know in the comments if there's other videos you want me to review, or you do want more reviews like this one in the future. With that being said, though, I want to thank you guys for being here and watching. I want to thank Ride BMX and everyone involved for making this video possible, because it was awesome to watch, truly. And we'll see you next time for another video. Goodbye.